Hello, people. It's George T. Perky Perkins back again. This time I have a short story science fiction story for you. I hope I'll be able to get it all on. The name of the story is Money is Time. R.J. Mammon was the richest man in the world. He had his own private island. He owned practically everything. He had made a fortune in real estate and media. He was president of Megacorp Industries and a best-selling author of Adventures in Capitalism, in which he put forth his revolutionary theory of profit before people. His art collection was world-renowned, and he was surrounded by beautiful women. If you wanted coal, R.J. Mammon owned the mines. If you wanted oil and gas, R.J. Mammon owned the wells. If you wanted timber, R.J. Mammon owned the woods. If you wanted solar power, R.J. Mammon owned the sun and the windmills. But R.J. Mammon was not a happy man. His organs were failing. He had but a short time to live. His doctors told him he was too weak to survive an organ transplant. R.J. Mammon was a desperate man. He decided to contact a time broker. He said to the time broker, "I'm the richest man in the world. I hold the lives and deaths of other people in my hands. One word from me determines their fate. And yet I cannot have the one thing I want the most. Time. Time to live the unforgiving minute. I have all the money in the world, and yet I cannot have what I want the most. Time to live." The time broker told him that time could be bought if the price was right. He said that the organs could be replaced after Mammon's death if he was willing to undergo cryonic suspension. Mammon inquired about the procedure. The time broker told R.J. Mammon that his body could be cryonically frozen and then brought back to life when the proper organs were available. The time broker said an organ search would be conducted. The body organs would be harvested and sent by autocar to the auctioneer. The body parts would be auctioned off to the highest bidder. If you have the money, you can buy the time. The time broker continued. At that point, the body parts would be sent to the body shop. A body shop would prepare the organs to be sent to the cryonic center. Then your body would be cryonically frozen and brought back to life when the proper organs arrived. R.J. Mammon was a desperate man. He agreed to the terms. The time broker suggested he contact the harvester. The harvester confirmed that an organ search could be conducted. The harvester said, "It's best that donating bodies be kept on ice as long as possible. It keeps the organs fresher. Fresh organs are essential for a suitable transplant. Technically speaking, however, we are not allowed to kill. There are some donors who are heart dead but still have minimal brain activity. We are not allowed to hasten their death just to harvest their organs. The number of suitable organ donors would greatly increase if the organs could be taken from the patients before they were dead. But there is a concern that it's harvesting death just to get the organs. There are also some concerns about right-to-life people that it may be killing just for the organs." The harvester went on to explain, "Hospitals do not currently remove organs from patients who still have brain activity. The patients have typically suffered catastrophic brain injury that left them in a vegetative state. Once life support is withdrawn and the heart stops beating, the organs will be removed within minutes." The harvester said studies suggest benefits exist for individuals and society from such transplants. Experts disagree how long to wait to make sure the heart doesn't spontaneously restart. Some experts suggest waiting 2 to 4 minutes. Waiting longer would allow the organs to begin deteriorating. The harvester suggests that R.J. Mammon attend the auction to bid for the proper organs. People from all over the world gathered for the auction. There were many poor people waiting for organs for themselves or their loved ones, But R.J. Mammon had always been able to use his money to get what he wanted. R.J. Mammon was able to outbid everyone else and move to the head of the line. The vital organs were shipped to Forever Body Parts Incorporated. The sign over the body parts counter said, "No job too small." Behind the counter, a small, wiry little man named Fax hurried around frenetically trying to fill orders. When R.J. Mammon entered the body shop, Fax said, "Welcome to the Human Resources Center." He explained that he was a clone. He said, "There's just too much work here for just one of me. It's the only way I can get my work all done. My job is to mix and match body parts whenever possible." The list of body products posted on the wall included number 1, blood, number 2, organs, corneas, livers, hearts, kidneys, number 3, human growth factor, number 4, fetal tissue, number 5, sperm, eggs, and egg donors, number 6, embryos, number 7, wombs for rent, number 8, genetically altered life forms. In parenthesis, we can even give you a pig on 2 legs if you want one. Fax said your order will be sent to the Cryonics Center as soon as we receive the request. Mammon thanked the little man behind the counter and moved on to the Cryonics Center. There he met the director of the Cryonics Center, Dr. Berg. The sign of the counter said, "People are our most important product." Dr. Berg said, "Welcome to Death and Beyond. Our mission is to raise the dead. My name is Dr. Berg. Some people call me Ice from my deep freezing techniques. Iceberg, get it? Dr. Iceberg." R.J. Mammon was not amused. Dr. Berg invited R.J. Mammon to tour the facility and explained the procedure to him. Inside the operating room, medical staff wearing hairnets and surgical masks pushed trays back and forth across the floor. In the middle of the room was a large tank. Dr. Berg explained to R.J. Mammon that upon his death, his blood would be replaced with a solution. The fluid placed in a tank of liquid nitrogen, and the temperature would be lowered to 327 degrees below zero. The tank would be made ready for activating the freezing unit. His body would remain in cryonic suspension. He would remain in biostasis until the proper organs arrived. R.J. Mammon thanked Dr. Berg for the tour and left the Cryonics Center, convinced that his legacy was secure. A few weeks later, R.J. Mammon died peacefully in his sleep. R.J. Mammon's body was immediately transferred to the Cryonics Center and placed in the freezing tank. The body shop packed the fresh organs in ice along with 8 quarts of blood and sent the organs to the Cryonics Center. R.J. Mammon's body was slowly raised from the tank. Dr. Berg and a team of surgeons performed the operation using special forceps and many sutures. It was a long and arduous operation, but when it was over, R.J. Mammon was resting comfortably. He remained in a coma for several days. Finally, his muscles began to twitch, and then one day he opened his eyes and blinked. Slowly but surely, he was raised from the bed to begin several days of therapy. Months later, he was moved to a wheelchair and then back onto his own 2 feet. R.J. Mammon had cheated death. Once again, R.J. Mammon was on top of his game. He was a mover and a shaker. He was the richest man in the world. He could buy politicians to do his bidding and literally move mountains to get anything he wanted. He began to write his autobiography called He Is Risen. R.J. Mammon became a worldwide sensation. There was no mention of the fact that he had used his money to move to the head of the line. Then a strange thing happened. R.J. Mammon grew pale and weak. He grew weaker and weaker. Then one day his manservant went in to bring him his favorite drink and found him slumped over the computer. R.J. Mammon was dead again. The medical examiner determined the recipient died from an infection from a microscopic parasite that he got from the organ donor. He died from a cluster of transplanted encephalitis caused by Balamuthia mandrilis, an amoeba found in the soil. It is especially dangerous to people with a weakened immune system. R.J. Mammon was the richest man in the world. He could have anything he wanted. He had all the money in the world, but he didn't have all the time. Well, that's it for now, people. I hope you enjoyed the story. I'll see you a little later on.